Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us, the project launch of Milan Design Market. I have Clémence Valade with me here. She's a designer working on ceramic tablewares, and she's gonna tell us the story, how she started and how she got to the final result of her collection. Let's welcome her.
Hello everyone, I'm Clémence Valade. I'm a French designer, and I'm here to present you my ceramic collection that I made last year with a ceramist in the south of France.
Tell us about you first. Like, where are you exactly coming from? If you study design or some art, and how you come up with an idea of doing a ceramic collection,
Yes.
handmade, especially.
Yeah, so I'm from the French countryside, and I did my design study at NC Les Ateliers in Paris, which is a pretty well-known Parisian design school. And I was always really interested in crafts. And then during my time at the school, we were contacted by a city in the south of France that is very famous for their traditional ceramics and for their art ceramics also, to create a piece for an exhibition, the Biennale of Ceramic of Valoris. And so we were a few students selected, like 4, to create a piece with Claude Aiello, which is a master ceramist.
Yeah, I was just going to ask you, because I know the value of your collection because we have it in our store. That comes from also the famous ceramic artist like Claude Aiello, that is doing by hand, crafting them by hand, and how you got the connection. That was going to be my question, actually. And how is it to learn from the someone who knows it so well, and like how it influenced you?
Yeah, it was really interesting because we had to develop the collection very fast, and we were basically just asked to do something in ceramic. So it was very broad, and we just knew we were going to work with Claude. And Claude's specialty is throwing clay, so like turning clay. And so I was really inspired by that. And then I was watching him turn some piece on our first trip there. And I was really fascinated by how the clay would peel off the piece and how it would master like the shapes and delicacy of everything. So then I worked with him to really bring that out in the design. So it would be a piece that could only be made by...
He gave you also like suggestions in the process of the design, or he was just there to say more technical details for the products?
Well, we started by working together on the techniques, because I knew I wanted to make like stripes indents, like with a lot of relief. And this is very hard to do. So first we did the first trial to check if it was possible. And then, yes, he also helped me with the shapes, because he has like basically his hands know like what shape should be given to an object. So it's very...
the ceramic, like obviously, like spending so much time in the workshop gives you also more secure movements on the ceramic itself. But I am so interested also the story of your products, that actually it comes from the past, but you have a really modern look tableware collection, and colors, like it has a color that is really bold, let's say. It's like, it's not so soft as like the older, how people would see ceramic, like, you know, the terracotta color. So how did you come up with this idea?
Yeah, that was like at some point we were wondering what color should be, and because my first inspiration was Claude's technique, and the traditional clay from Valoris is really this bright red, and we wanted to have something that would contrast with the red. And at some point he told me that there was also those traditional colors in clay before that were yellow and deep green. So I was really fascinated by that. And so we searched in his workshop for samples of very old ceramics, and we found this very deep green object, and I was like, I want this color because it would like contrast so much with the natural clay of the region.
Yes, actually, you see the contrast. So let's share some images and we talk through the images so they will know what color we are talking about or what objects we are talking about. Let me share. Okay. So here is this is basically what we were talking about. These are the traditional ceramics, right?
Yeah, it's basically before like that it was normal to cook in metal, like to boil water in metal. People used to cook in clay container, and so all of those were like cooking pan and ovens, and they were used all over France, or probably Europe actually. But yeah.
So these were from the workshop, or they are in general photos you took that you know about the traditional ceramic, or it's from the workshop that you've been?
This is from the Museum of Ceramic in the city, because in its golden age there were like 120 ceramic workshop in the city, and it's not a big city, so it's really impressive. So they have this museum about the traditional ceramics.
Okay, so you also visit like really to see how it was done, like in the background.
Yes, and they have this very particular way of doing things, of course. And that's the workshop from Claude, so it's pretty small, or at least it's pretty full of pieces. He's been, I think he's been a ceramist for more than 50 years now. And what's really interesting is that when he started, they were still producing those like everyday ceramics to send all over France. And then
so producing a lot, like doing a lot and continuously. So the hands got used to work with ceramic.
Yeah. Yes, and producing like hundreds of times the same piece over and over again. And then like basically this business crashed with the industrialization of ceramics and cookingware. And so he turned to working with designer and artists to make more like one of a kind ceramic and art pieces. So very technical, but more challenging to make than 100 times the same thing.
So what do you think? Like that industrialization helped for artists to express themselves somehow, to find a solution to be in the industry, be in the market somehow?
Yeah, I think they had to become more creative to still exist as ceramist company, but also from the 120 ceramic workshop that were there 50 years ago, there is like 2 remaining. So it was very tough.
Yeah.
But for example, like also Pablo Picasso spent a lot of time in Valoris, so he made a lot of ceramics there, and so it's very very interesting city to visit.
No, definitely. If I decide to go somehow there, I'm gonna give you a call to really visit this, if it's possible, this workshops, because it's fascinates a lot when you visit, when you see really the workshop of creators. You know, like it's not just designing on the three-dimensional space or even sketching up, but actual doing it. It's, I think, like an amazing experience. So there is an image that shows like how you actually make it.
Yeah, it was really tricky because I wanted to have those lines with very deep cuts, and so the idea is that he has to turn the piece very thick, like when he's making it, creating it, putting it up, and then he's removing a material with a tool to create those shapes. But it's very difficult to first being very precise because he has only one try for each line. Because you cannot, if you come back, then the earth basically doesn't comply with your will, and it just smashed, and you have to start everything over again.
I mean, if it wouldn't be a design piece, it could be also different each piece, but you actually design and you think and you know the distance between the lines, right? So as because I saw this photo, so you plan like centimeters by centimeters how it's supposed to come up.
Yeah, but it also comes up with the eyes of Claude. Like he has his own will. So like I came up with this idea of lines, and then for each piece is spacing them a bit different. Like if the piece is bigger, then the space is going to be bigger, and if the piece is smaller, they're going to be tinier. With like just with his eye, he's like evaluating what would look best on each piece. So they are all a bit different, but I do not really control that. That's really his part in the process is controlling the shapes.
These drawings, like you did them. How do you work? Like how you did these drawings, just to represent to the craftsman to show how it is, or it's also for you to understand how the shape is going to be?
Yeah, so like normally I would design with a computer and do very precise designs, but because I was working with a throwing ground and like it's not very precise to the millimeter, this kind of work. So I decided to just draw like in his workshop and check with him every time if it was doable and if it would work, basically. And then I did this drawing that was like for him to explain like, oh, he should throw the ground the first time and then how he should go at it to remove the ground the second time, because you have to.
And so you did black and white, let's say the contrasts.
Yeah, exactly. So the first time he makes the piece very thick and then is coming with a tool to remove everything that is colored in black, so that it makes the shape.
It's really interesting. So it's in the end, this is the result.
Yeah, yeah. When it's all pretty and all colored and lacquered, so it can be used.
But I also read that the collection has another inspiration, not just like the inspiration of the daily use. How do you say? Like, you tell me, what was the inspiration for this collection?
Well, it's just I was asked to make piece for a museum, which is, well, not what I'm used to do. So I really wanted to create still objects that you could use that are, yes, like extremely pretty and made by a famous craftsman, but that can have a use in the house. And I wanted to recreate those traditional ceramics that, well, at least in France, like people used to have the ceramics that were given to them at their wedding and that you would use to receive guests and host them. And you would have the one that were from the soup and the one that was for this type of plate and like really present the food.
Oh, so, amazing. It's a good tradition.
Yeah, it's a bit old school, but I'm a bit sad that it's past. So I was like, I'm gonna bring it back with like more contemporary shape. But
I think that's the way, because I think we shouldn't lose our tradition, because tradition, like the story, everything, they bring joy. And if we just say, okay, it's old school, so we're not going to, why? You can have it in a modern way, but you can still have it, or you can still share these moments that they used, because otherwise the culture gets lost somehow. Like we all become, with the globalization, we all become the same country, same traditions. And I really appreciate when I see, just because you mention it, I like the more the product and the idea behind it.
Yeah, and so like, yeah, I wanted to make objects that you could use to host a guest at your house. And so I used the stripe basically to show where you could hold the pieces. Like they are used as a grip, grip part. Basically, it's just easier to hold the piece from those lines. And yeah, it's just like a nice hint on the fact that ceramics, even if they are really fancy and really pretty and made by craftsmen, they are still objects that you can use. They don't have to be like this art piece that is never touched. Like I like it more like this.
Do you want to share with us something specific about this collection that you're presenting in Milan Design Market, or you want to share something about you that we didn't talk?
Sorry, I had a bit of an internet glitch here. I
I'm
missed your
sorry,
questions.
I asked you if you wanted to share something specific about the collection or about you that I didn't ask, I missed, or you just want to talk about.
Yeah, I think that's specific with this collection is that even though we are now producing it like in a very small amount with Claude to sell on the Milan Design Market, like every piece is still a bit different because we are still talking with Claude on like those pictures are from the first prototypes that we made for the museum. But now we are talking on how to make them a tiny bit lighter so that it's easier to use or that they are more sturdy or pouring the water better. So they are always a bit changing, like really keeping the spirit, but slightly evolving. And
So
well,
who is following us, following you should keep in following in order to see the new products and how they're changing by time. Even if the design will be the same, I understand the technique of little details will change the product. Or you're thinking to do another collection already, or you want to still work on the one you just...
I think for now we are improving this collection to make it more usable for, well, maybe not daily, but current use. And then I would definitely like to make another collection with them more related to cooking food, like food preparation, like this object we saw in the first slide. But well,
yeah,
we'll
that will be interesting as well.
Yeah.
So I finished the images. I'm closing the tab. And what else? Do we want to talk about something else, or we are overing the time? I will just close up the talk if you don't want to share something more interesting that I forgot, because I'm always afraid that I forgot to ask something that you really wanted to talk about.
No, I think we went around. I think the most important part here is really that it's a collaboration between me and Claude. Like this piece couldn't be made by another, like it would not have any sense if it was another ceramist in another city making those pieces, because they are really deeply linked to both the story of the city and the skills that Claude has.
Yeah, I also read about him to know more before talking to you, and it's just like amazing that you had a chance to work with an artist like that. Like I was questioning how, like I even thought maybe, I don't know, you were a relative of him or something like that. I just wanted to ask, but it was like, it's a really good chance that you had, and whoever will buy these products will have a chance to touch the products that is made by really a master of the ceramics. So
he has won multiple prize for his work, and there are books about him. So it was really awesome to work with him, and also he's very humble and very easy to talk to and to work with. He's not making any difference between me and a famous designer. So well, that was great.
You're there. You're gonna be. It's just the beginning. We are working with emerging designers. That's why we see a talent that I think even just being there and collaborating with an artist, like having your time, spending your time on it, and then collaborating with other realities like Milan Design Market or even Isola, like it's just, you're not stopping and saying, okay, I design and that's it. No, obviously we have to go out there and show ourselves because you're a young designer. So I think we're in the good way. So I really wish and hope that it's gonna grow every time, time by time.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you for being with me here today and having this talk.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me. It's really great to be able to talk about the project, and thank you for the people listening to us, I guess.
Yeah, and the ones who are going to listen later or watch later, I'm going to leave the links of your page so they can have more information and they can see the products more closer. And if they have any question, they can always contact us through Milan Design Market. So yeah, under the YouTube video, you will find all the informations.
Yes. So thank you very much.
proud. I hope to see you
Yeah.
one day.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao. Bye, everyone.